This episode is brought to you by Homemade. What is Homemade?
Well, glad you asked. Homemade is a turnkey house flipping service we've built to solve the needs of aspiring flippers like you who want to get started in house flipping but want to do it with the backing of a professional and experienced team.
We've designed Homemade so that our team will be with you through every step of the house flipping journey.
Our team will deliver investment-grade properties straight to your inbox,
Work with you to design your project to maximize ROI,
oversee all the renovations, and handle all permitting requirements.
and along the way, we'll hook you up with our vetted network of service providers to help finance, insure, and stage your property.
Once the project is wrapped, we'll be with you arm in arm to execute your exit plan, whether that's through a sale as a flip or holding the property in your personal portfolio as either a long or short-term rental.
At Homemade, we've taken the outdated and frustrating house flipping process and turned it into a seamless and rewarding experience so that novice and even seasoned flippers can have access to this investment class without having to delve too deep into the nitty-gritty everyday headaches that this business often entails.
At Homemade, we do the heavy lifting for you. So if you've always wanted to flip a house, head on over to homemade.co to learn more about our platform and apply to work with us.
That's homemade.co. Peace.
Hey, Flipsters, I'm Lauren.
And I'm Lincoln, and we are happily married.
But not to each other.
Yeah, we're old friends from college, and we're flipping houses in the Austin, Texas area.
And we're taking you along for the ride. Hey, Flipsters, welcome back. Another episode of the Austin Flipsters podcast. I'm Lauren.
I'm
This is
Lincoln.
Lincoln, yes. Hi.
Hey, what's
How
up?
are ya?
Welcome.
Good. Thank you. We are sitting in our beautiful brand new project, just hit the market last weekend, and we got a lot of stories about it. But first, you've had some changes in your life too in the past week or two.
I've had a big week, yes. Yeah, we had our third child.
Yay, congrats.
This week. No, actually, it's been 2 weeks. It's been a blurry 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, had a daughter. I had two boys, and now I got a daughter in the mix.
Cute, adorable.
Yeah. Little, her name is Penny.
I know. I think that's so cute. I love that.
Yeah. It was supposed to be a subtle, like, you know, Lincoln's on the penny.
Oh gosh.
I thought this was a subtle, funny. We really liked the name. I thought it was cute. And then immediately people were like, oh, because Lincoln's on the penny? Because Lincoln's,
Right.
and I was like, oh, this seems like I'm an egomaniac
Well,
now.
you know, if the YouTube channel wasn't enough,
Yeah.
then you get the podcast.
I need people
now
dedicated
you got Penny.
to me. Yeah, but she's cute. She's a cute little penny. It's the perfect little name for her. She's like little lucky little pretty penny.
Oh, cute. Well, and I love that it's like, that's her full name. Like, I love that. Like a nickname name.
It's not Penelope. It's
Yeah.
just Penny. Yeah,
cute.
yeah.
Very cute.
So yeah, been busy.
Sleeping?
They're up a lot in the night. I don't know if you remember this. You got 3 kids.
Vaguely.
It's been a minute for you.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
That would be hard to go back to, like.
Yeah. It was kind of late. I called this one our late submission, It was
Last minute.
It was a little minute, get it in under the wire. You get much older than I am, and it's like, you really want to go back to that? I don't know. It's like late nights. It's a lot of.
When I feel like 3 now, you're like, it's not even a like, I'll take one kid, you take the other. Now you've got 2 or 1, or it's like, there's no rest for the weary.
Yeah, and our boys are old enough. They're 6 and 9 now that they're like, they can do a lot themselves.
Yeah,
and
that is helpful.
And
that is
I
helpful.
can sort of manage them and tag team it that way. So it's
And
not.
I feel like they probably appreciate her more
Oh yeah.
than like, because mine were like 2 and 4, I guess, when I had my youngest. So it was a lot.
They don't even remember it at that point. Like
I don't even remember it. The lack of sleep.
It's a blur.
It's a blur.
Mother Nature has a way of wiping your memory so that you do it over again.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
cool. Well, fun. I'm
What
excited for you.
what have you just got back from a trip to Arizona?
I
How was
went
that?
out to Tucson. It was great. My husband had a work conference out there. I went with him because I don't know. I think I'm a desert person.
Are you?
Yeah, I think I could totally be a snowbird.
What about the desert appeals to you?
I think it's the mountains and like it's like a dry heat.
That's
like,
what a desert is.
That
yeah.
is. I know. I love mountains. I mean, I love mountains like in Colorado or Utah, but something about like even West Texas has some mountains. But I don't know. It's a vibe. We did not go, but apparently our Uber driver on the way into the hotel was telling us that they were having a jewel show.
Oh,
Biggest in the world.
as one does.
Yes.
What is a jewel show?
So you can get.
I hope it's nothing inappropriate.
No.
The family jewel show,
Yeah, no. This is like amethysts, diamonds,
Oh.
stones, fossils.
Okay.
My husband, on the way back, he sat next to a guy who was helping his friend who's a fossil hunter.
Of course.
He had been working a booth for 3 weeks selling fossils to people. And so everyone else at the hotel was there for this show. And so you'd go to breakfast and there would be people with like the little...
The little magnifying monocle looking thing?
I'm on a podcast, but it's like a little, glass thing. And they would be looking at these tiny stones and like selling them to each other. And then you'd go to the pool and they'd be like, the paraquat show's coming on. And they'd all like run and go, which is like the turquoise stone, I think.
Oh.
I think.
Okay.
I don't know. It didn't make it, but apparently it is a vibe from what I hear.
Somewhere out there are the fossil flipsters that are just taking undervalued fossils and
100%.
dusting them off a little, making them
Exactly.
presentable, and just flipping them at the jewel show.
Yeah. It kind of, what I was picturing was like the peddler show with like a Native American twist, like energy, desert energy. You know?
Is it like that?
It's in a tent.
Is it?
It's like booths of people. Yeah.
It's not like precious stones. Is it like diamonds and jewelry? No, it's like
amethysts, like big rocks, like geodes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. There's they say the riches are in the niches. You know
Yes.
what I mean? And that feels like a niche to me.
And I feel like a fossil hunter, you can just find, you're not even buying stuff to begin with, you're just finding it.
Mother Nature just provides.
Yes.
You just go out there. Do you think that's how they find them, with the little magnifier?
I don't know, but it was wild.
Wow.
I kind of regret not going, to be
Well, it
honest.
sounds like you had quite the time out in the desert.
Oh, it was beautiful. Yeah, it actually rained though.
Oh,
One of the days,
okay.
and they never get rain, except I didn't know this.
The
Fun
desert.
fact about Tucson:
Yeah.
every 4th of July is their monsoon season, and it rains for 3 weeks straight. They get 6 months worth of rain in 3 weeks, and then it doesn't rain again the rest of the
Consistently.
year. Yes, isn't that crazy?
Wow.
I had no idea.
It does that just because it's the 4th of July to
Yes.
celebrate?
Yeah, totally.
Wow.
Patriotic.
Nature is a miracle.
Yes. But yeah, no, it was great. It was fun. But speaking of just creating wealth.
Oh, good segue. I was like, how are we going to tie the jewels in the desert?
So we found this fossil of a house.
This thing was a bit of a diamond in the rough.
It needed some love.
Yeah, so we were sitting in, as you mentioned, our latest flip. We did this one with a client.
Yes.
So we don't own this house. He owns this house all the way from New Jersey.
Yes.
We just listed the property, but we're going to get into it. We want to talk all about this project.
Yes, I'm so excited to talk about this project because we were putting together kind of the game plan for this podcast last week before it had gone live on the market. And we were going to talk about one thing, which we will now. But now that it went live on the market, this was such a home run project for our clients.
Yep.
We'll get into the numbers in a second, but it was actually a multiple offer situation, which we have not seen in a year or so in Austin.
Probably been a year since we've had like multiple offers right out of the gate on the first weekend on the market, which is a big deal. This was like 2021 market behavior. Multiple offers first weekend on. It's back. Well, yeah, I say that. This is one
data
house.
point, but this has been a great project for our clients. So we wanted to let's get into it. Let's start from the beginning.
Yeah, totally. Where do you want to start? You want to start with the house where we found it, what the deal was? Where do you want
Let's
to
talk
start,
about how
Lauren?
we found, just like a fossil hunter.
Yeah.
This was out there for anyone to find. This house was on the MLS.
Yes. The MLS, for those of you who don't know, the multiple listing service is just where realtors list it, and you can go online. I'm sure you guys see these listed houses on Zillow or whatever, so you can come make an offer on them, as opposed to something off market that is exclusive to you. Anybody could have seen this as an opportunity.
Yes. The problem is it was an opportunity for the right hunter because there were some major foundational issues. There was roof issues. It was honestly pretty scary for a retail buyer to buy this because it was a pretty substantial difference in the foundation level. And we are out here in Round Rock. We are way up here.
Yeah.
Very nice neighborhood though, and a big old house.
Yeah. And like you said, so a traditional retail buyer couldn't have even purchased this house without the roof and the foundation being corrected first, because a lender is not going to lend on that property without those issues being addressed.
Yes, because the house itself was leaning.
It was
bit.
leaning a little.
We went upstairs. You'll see in the episode. It was pretty scary.
Yeah, and in our market, it's typical for us to have projects that have shifted foundations. Our soil type here, I would say, I don't know, probably 60-75% of the projects that we do have some sort of adjustment for the foundation.
Yep.
So it's typical, and obviously it's like some more than others. And so some are within tolerance and some are out of tolerance. This was slightly out of tolerance, so it had to be addressed.
Yes. And let's get into that because it was a huge undertaking to address this thing. Typically, we're going down, how many feet down?
Oh, like 6 feet.
Yeah, I was going to say 6, 7. This one, we actually went down 40 feet.
40 feet we had to dig under this house. Yeah.
Yeah, it was backbreaking work that the foundation crew went through to hit bedrock up here.
Yeah, and the thing about the project was to be able to fix anything else in the entire in the interior of the house, you gotta fix that foundation first, right?
Yep.
So that took us almost 2 months just to fix the foundation because we had to dig way deeper than we typically do in order to get down to the bedrock so that you can prop the thing up. And we ran into our own monsoon season.
Yes.
For like a month straight. We had so much rain in the fall that it was filling up those holes. We just couldn't dig and the project was delayed. And, when you've got exterior delays, you try and fix what you can. So we could put the roof on. There were a few other, cosmetic things we could do, but really you don't want to start doing stuff interior wise because once you shift that back, things shift in the drywall, in the trim work. And, if you've painted it and patched it up and you shift it back, then you may have to redo that work.
Yeah, so we were really delayed in getting to do the fun stuff because we had to do the not fun stuff. But it's not fun stuff that makes, to your point, the house sellable to a retail client, which is what we were going for. So going into it, we knew that foundation was going to be a huge part of our budget. Foundation and roof, those are big ticket items, and this was a particularly expensive foundation job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think we spent $102,000 on the renovation of this project, and of that, $30,000 of the budget was just for the foundation and just for the roof.
Right. Which is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, and I would say, honestly, when you look at the house, it looks beautiful, and you guys can see in the episode, but I would say that was most of the value that we really drove on this house was fixing those things that you couldn't see. We also replaced the HVAC system, which was another big upgrade that it's behind the walls, you can't see, but that makes the house sellable. And those were those were the driving reasons why this house was so cheap on the MLS to begin with, because those foundational things weren't in order, right?
Yep. Totally. So fix your foundation first. And then because we were so heavy on the need to do's, we had to scale back on the want to do's. Yeah. And so we did a few things in the scope during our scoping process that, in an ideal world, we would have replaced cabinets. Instead, we painted them. And actually, I think they look beautiful.
They turned out great, yeah.
Yeah, I love that kind of grayish color. So we went with kind of a grayish color in the kitchen. We did all new countertops, backsplash, did a larger format tile, which larger format tile is always cheaper. Mm-hmm. But it still kind of has that subway vibe. What else did we do? Oh, we did not. This was a big point of contention. And upstairs, there's, the primary bath, which we redid. It looks beautiful. But the secondary bathroom upstairs, we debated, went back and forth internally with the homemade team whether we touched that or not. I was on the team of touching it because I thought that it would be a point of contention for a buyer because we just left it in the original format. We painted a little bit, but mostly left it as is for budget reasons. And I'm wrong. It did not seem to affect the resale, but I was really concerned that was going to be the sticking point.
I was worried as well because I think it had the potential to be a deal killer, which is like when I think about the scope, it's like, what do I have to include to get this thing moved at a price? And, typically not redoing a whole room like a bathroom is potentially a deal killer.
Yep.
And the reason we debated is because this bathroom had been redone maybe 15 years ago, I would guess. And it was in a different color palette than like what we chose for the rest of the house. So it does stand out. And the numbers were just really tight, we thought, on this one.
Yeah, we weren't anticipating a bidding war.
We didn't think we'd get a bidding war to bail us out on the back end, so we had to be pretty smart with that. Hindsight's 2020, and I think we could have afforded to have done that bathroom, but
it also didn't matter.
It didn't. So. It didn't matter, and all's well that ends well, I suppose. But to be honest, I would say it was not as just cut and dry of like, obviously we do this or obviously we don't do this. Like we had to debate on that one.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point about house flipping in general. We get comments all the time on the YouTube videos. Why did you do this? Why did you not do that? This is the real world, real life, real dollars and cents. And like, yes, if you had unlimited budget and you did not care if your project made money, yeah, you could do a lot of things. But for us, there's always this art and science, I think, behind scoping of what is going to give us the highest ROI for the project, because ultimately that's what we're out here doing.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of people don't realize is that the margins on these things can be really tight if you don't know what you're doing or if you overspend. So because, you're getting a loan to pay for it, you're levering up your equity investment in these things. If you're investing, say, $100,000 in a project like this, redoing a single bathroom, maybe you spend $8,000 to $10,000. If you didn't need to do that, that's a 10% return on your investment. That might be half of your return that you're trying to squeeze out of an investment. Because if you get, a 20% return on your money, you're doing great. Right. But if half of that goes to this bathroom, that can really make or break whether the project is successful or not. And to your point, a lot of people say, oh, I would have done this, I would have done that, I would have redone the bathroom, I would have, built the Taj Mahal in the backyard. And, it's really easy to spend fake money, in a YouTube comment or, dream what you would have done in a project. But the reality is you've got to be super, super judicious with how you spend those funds. Otherwise, you will over-improve the property and you won't make any money and you won't be doing projects for long.
Right, totally. And another area where we really focused on this house was kind of what I would call value engineered design, right? Yeah. So picking selections like this tile for the fireplace, for example, or even doing a lot with paint. We got this paint accent wall, paint in the dining room, repainting the cabinets. All of the light fixtures in this house are from Amazon. Oh. And they look like knockoffs of higher, more expensive things. And I personally, they don't look as cheap as they are. Like, I just put it that way. So there are ways that you can, I guess what I'm trying to say, get the higher end look without spending the higher end price.
Well, you can tell if you get out your little gemstone magnifying glass and look really closely at these light fixtures. You can tell, but from a distance, they look good.
The fake fossil. This is just, what was that, like Play-Doh? These are the Play-Doh versions of fossils.
No, I mean, to your point, I think those things, they look great. And yeah, I mean, to be honest, there's some really high quality stuff on Amazon. We shop there like way more than you'd think.
Yes. And it delivers in 2 days. I mean, come on.
You're a Prime? She's a Prime member.
I'm a Prime member. Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's talk about the return on this one, because you were talking about 20% return on your money as being a good return. Can we talk about the numbers on this house?
Let's get into it. Yeah.
Okay. So purchased the house for $320,000.
Yep.
The rehab cost $102,000, as you mentioned.
Yes.
There were some financing and holding costs, $29,000. So total investment that our client had in this project was $451,000.
Yes.
We are pending right now, so it's not final, but we are under contract with the buyer for $550,000, which was $20,000 over where we listed it.
Yep.
And about $35,000 over where we projected.
Yeah, so I think we conservatively underwrote that we would exit at about 515.
Yeah.
We got some good comps. We got some comps that actually supported a 550 exit, and we listed somewhere in the middle to just, get it moved quickly at 530.
Okay.
So, I would say this was still a winning project, even if we had exited at that 515. And I think that's the risk and reward of being a real estate investor, is the market can shift while you're doing the project. So we were in this project for about 6 months. And in that time period, we got a little bit of a bounce back.
Yep.
And you get a little bit of that upside.
Interest rates dipped a little bit too, which helps.
Exactly. But that doesn't always go your way, right? They can go the opposite way.
Exactly. But we like it this way.
Yeah.
So selling costs will be about $27,500 for the client. So provided the deal closes, They're set to make $68,893, which would be a 60% return on equity.
That's amazing. Yeah. So of that, what the all-in investment you said was $450,000. So of that all-in investment, he really only put up just over $100,000 of his equity, and the rest came from debt. So that $68,000 return, to your point, is on his $100,000 that he put up as equity capital. That's a home run return for this.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Can we talk about debt and how you can utilize hard money loans to do this? Because I think that's sort of the a misconception, is that you need to do these in all cash or whatever. Can you kind of talk about that process?
Yeah, so you obviously can buy the house cash and finance the renovation cash, and that's the lowest risk way to do it, but you need way more cash to do it.
Right.
And, in a scenario like this one,
your ROE goes down.
Your return on that capital goes way down.
Right.
So if you had, in this scenario, if you had $450,000 in cash, and then you ultimately made, let's say, $68,000 on that. What's 68 on 450? That's probably 15-ish, somewhere in that kind of percent return. Obviously, like somewhere between 15 and 20% return is amazing, but much less than a 60% return that you got from using leverage on it. So how does that work? Well, basically, instead of needing that full 450, you need only $100,000, give or take, for a property like this. Some of that goes toward your equity when you actually purchase the property. So basically, you're taking a private loan on this that funds both the purchase and the renovation of your project. And usually it's on the purchase, something like 10 to 20% equity required, and then the rest from debt. So you need that upfront money to purchase a house, and then you need working capital to finance your holding costs on the property, but you also need working capital to float part of the renovation. So the way a hard money renovation loan would work is you come out of pocket up front to pay for a portion of the renovations. In this case, it was a $100,000 loan. So let's say you needed $20,000 of working capital. You would go and pay for $20,000 worth of work. So the foundation, part of the roof, and then the lender reimburses that amount once the work is done. So the risk in their investment goes...
so you're floating it for a little bit.
Exactly. You're floating it for a little bit, and from the lender's perspective, their risk goes down as you complete more and more of the project. So once you've fixed that foundation, great, they'll lend you a little bit more, because if they ever had to foreclose on that house or take it over or whatever, the house is in better shape. It's been improved by $20,000. Right. So you take your $20,000 of working capital and you sort of recycle it. So now that you've paid to fix the foundation, you can pay to fix the roof. Once that's done, they'll reimburse that expense. And so that $20,000 of working capital, you can sort of recycle 5 times in a row to get to that $100,000 required to do it without needing the full $100,000 in cash. That boosts your overall return on investment. Exactly. Did we just get a finance lesson?
Yeah. That is hard money lending.
This episode is brought to you by Homemade. What is Homemade?
Well, glad you asked. Homemade is a turnkey house flipping service we've built to solve the needs of aspiring flippers like you who want to get started in house flipping but want to do it with the backing of a professional and experienced team.
We've designed Homemade so that our team will be with you through every step of the house flipping journey.
Our team will deliver investment-grade properties straight to your inbox,
work with you to design your project to maximize ROI,
oversee all the renovations and handle all permitting requirements.
And along the way, we'll hook you up with our vetted network of service providers to help finance, insure, and stage your property.
Once the project is wrapped, we'll be with you arm in arm to execute your exit plan, whether that's through a sale as a flip or holding the property in your personal portfolio as either a long or short-term rental.
At Homemade, we've taken the outdated and frustrating house flipping process and turned it into a seamless and rewarding experience so that novice and even seasoned flippers can have access to this investment class without having to delve too deep into the nitty-gritty everyday headaches that this business often entails.
At Homemade, we do the heavy lifting for you. So if you've always wanted to flip a house, head on over to homemade.co to learn more about our platform and apply to work with us.
That's homemade.co. Peace. Yeah, so that's how hard money...
now, you do pay higher fees than you would for like a mortgage, higher interest rates, but the thought is that you're doing it over a short enough time horizon,
right? Ideally
less than 6 months, to where it's not as big of a deal.
Yeah, totally. So the interest rates on hard money loans are really high. So like 12, 13% versus, a traditional loan that might be these days, 7, 8, 9%. So you're paying a much higher interest rate. But to your point, you don't want to hold onto that loan for very long. So 6 months is great to be in and out. So on on a loan like that, if you're paying 12% interest, hopefully you only really pay about 6% of that total amount in
annualized
interest.
Rate. Yeah.
Exactly. That's an annualized rate. And to be honest, that when the projects go well and they succeed, that's a small price to pay to
have access to the capital. Yeah.
Totally.
One thing I wanted to go back to on talking about fixing the foundation is kind of the things that we do after it's fixed to pass on to the new buyer, because that, like, to your point, is really where the value add is, not only in fixing it to begin with, but then that comes with a lifetime transferable warranty that we're able to then transfer to the buyer should there be any foundation issues in the future. We also do a hydrostatic test, which basically says once the foundation has been fixed that the plumbing is still good, because sometimes that can affect the plumbing if you're shifting the foundation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. In our market, if you're fixing the foundation, you're still going to have to disclose to the new buyers that you fixed that foundation. And those are the reason we do, an engineer's letter, a transferable warranty, and a hydrostatic test is because the new buyers, I mean, understandably, if the foundation has been, fixed or adjusted, they want some peace of mind that has been done right. And that if there's any problems in the future, they're going to have that warranty to fall back on. And in this market, like a lot of the houses are going to have these problems. So if you're shopping in the market, you want to see those three things. And a house that doesn't have those,
would be a red flag.
That's a red flag. So we're trying to make the house as marketable as we possibly can on the back end. We're trying to do it right and provide the peace of mind to the buyers on the back end. But you'd be surprised how common it is for people to just fix that foundation and they don't have any of those three things. And it may look level, but it's much less marketable to a new buyer, right?
Yep, totally.
I'm glad you brought that up though, because it's a big deal.
Yep. We want to make sure that the new buyers are covered. And as you're saying, the whole goal with flipping houses is to make them as marketable to as many people as you possibly can, and to take away any kind of reason or hesitation from someone purchasing that property. And a lot of times the reason that we are able to get the property in the first place is because there is some major hiccup that would give people pause. And so the whole name of the game is get it marketable. And I think going back to the bathroom analogy or situation that we had here, the last thing you want to do is spend on a project that you don't need to, or that would then, like, let's pretend in a different alternate universe that we had fixed that bathroom and it looks great, but then the house did not sell for what we thought it would. And that project is the thing that ultimately made you not make money or lose money. Right. You don't want to be over improving it to then not sell it to the price you need to make money. So, I think there is just always this give and trade when it comes to
Yeah, I think the way that I think about it is like you as a house flipper or real estate investor, your job is really to add value to the property, right? Yep. So you need to think about it as an asset that I get paid to improve. Mm-hmm. So fixing the foundation, that is an obvious improvement, right? Fixing the roof, that is an obvious improvement. The reason we didn't renovate the bathroom in this house is because
it was functional.
It was functional. So it's sort of a math equation when you are saying, is this adding value? Because a bathroom like that has value because it had been redone. It's just a bit dated. So the math equation is, well, I actually have to destroy value to add value, mm-hmm. right? So I have to take a perfectly good bathroom that has some value to it. Let's say it's worth, I don't know, $3,000, that bathroom. I have to destroy $3,000 worth of work and then pay $10,000. So is this new bathroom going to get me at least $13,000? Right. Or, if I think it's only going to, net me out about 10, 11, it's worth preserving the value in that existing bathroom. Now, it's not always just as clear cut and dry as that, because I think the sum of the parts on a flip is greater than each individual component. And it's really tough to just say, I'm going to leave this one thing
undone
because it's undone, because then the whole thing is less cohesive. So it is definitely a much tougher call than, like, it definitely makes sense. You're going to get your money back on fixing a foundation. You're definitely going to get your money back on fixing a roof. But everything else, it always has to come down to like a value equation. Like, does this make the property more valuable than what I'm going to have to destroy in order to do that?
And I think that is the service that we offer our homemade clients, right? Is that we have been doing this for years. We know what those things are that add value, and we can help inform what the scope needs to be, because I think that's where a lot of first timers particularly get intimidated and or make the wrong call. We talk about this a lot, this pendulum with design, but it's a pendulum with scope as well, where you could swing by over improving or you could swing by under improving, and either way is going to affect your performance and your return. And so you're really looking for the Goldilocks sweet spot of scope, and that's something that we help our homemade clients determine what is the appropriate scope for this house, for this layout, for this neighborhood, and for the comps to justify, getting the highest return we can.
Yeah, totally. I think about like over improving a house is sort of like, the first bite of ice cream. It tastes really good. You know what I mean? But like, you're not that much happier when you get a second and third and fourth helping of ice cream. You know what I mean? It's like you adapt to that. You get that, that initial rush. And I think a lot of people over improve. They're like, oh, I could also add a pergola in the backyard. I could also, put in a pool. I could add a new patio. I could, make it hot more and more and more. And I think you reach sort of a threshold of like, this is what the market demands and will pay for. And it can't really eat a fourth helping of ice cream on that same house.
Without getting diabetes,
You gotta avoid metabolic dysfunction.
Yes,
is number one.
Cool. Well, I am so stoked for this project. Great client outcome.
Yeah.
And also, not to mention, he did all this virtually. He is on the East Coast. He came in one time. Like, I'm just so excited that we're able to provide this for our clients.
Yeah, it was a home run outcome for our client. Obviously, like, he got more than what he bargained for. And I think, the other thing that was really interesting was, you talked about it, but the multiple offers on the property.
You, I think, pride yourself on being a fierce negotiator. So I don't know if you want to give away your strategies too much here, but walk me through, because you were the listing agent on this property. So walk me through multiple offers. How do you balance that? Like, tell me about that.
Well, first of all, I will say, I did not think we were going to get multiple offers on this house. I was pleasantly surprised. And I think it's often much better to be lucky than good.
Timing is everything.
But timing is everything. I think we are hitting the market going into the spring hot selling season. So that's huge, right? When you list matters. But yeah, having multiple offers on a property is like the golden ticket to unlocking value, because without someone else sort of, competing against that buyer, it's really just you versus the buyer as a seller. Yep. So it's seller versus buyer. Versus once you get multiple offers, it's buyer versus buyer. So it's not adversarial with you so much. It's adversarial with someone else. And, the way multiple offers works, so we'll take this house, for example. We listed it for $530,000. And basically within 24 hours, we got a lot of showing activity, people coming to see it. And we got someone who said, hey, I want to make you an offer. And they made an offer that was actually $5,000 above what we had listed at. So they offered us $535.
And they wrote a really nice note about the quality of the construction.
That's how you know the market is heating up, when the buyers start writing you love letters. I mean, they're really flattering, these notes that say how much they love the house, they appreciate the work that went into it, and they'd love to, make it their own. And people will do that because it's a feel-good factor.
That's what they say to do, yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest, it works. All things being equal, if you're
real estate is emotional.
It's emotional
on both sides. Yeah.
And if you're the seller and you're looking at a spreadsheet and the numbers are the same, what does it boil down to? You want to feel a connection. Yeah. So that was a feather in their cap, plus $5,000. To be honest, like I was excited by that offer, and I advised Kunal to take that offer, because the reason someone would offer $5,000 over your asking price.
They're serious.
Is because they're serious and they want to just take it off the market immediately and be done. And these buyers had looked at, I think, 100 houses or something crazy.
Yeah, and that's another point is that we brought to market a product that everybody wanted, which is a turnkey product in a desirable neighborhood. So I think that's part of it. There wasn't a ton of inventory in this neighborhood.
That definitely helped. That they didn't have that many options. And a $5,000 over asking is like a, hey, take this and be done with it. And as a seller, if you negotiate at all with that offer, you risk losing it, to be honest, because you can't really.
They're putting their best foot forward.
They're putting their best foot forward. And if you've listed it for $530,000 and they come $5,000 above that, you can't really say, well, give me 10 or 15 more.
Yeah.
You can really say one of two things, either yes, or I want to hold out and wait for a better offer, which when you haven't had multiple offers, exactly. If you haven't had multiple offers in a year, you risk alienating them.
Right.
And so there really was no reason for us to not do that unless we thought we'd have somebody else come along. And I didn't think we would. I mean, the other thing about multiple offers that is really tricky is the timing has to line up. Mm-hmm. So you might have, say, 3 people that will be willing to buy this house. But if one offers the first weekend and one isn't going to offer until the second weekend and the third weekend, those are still no good because they're only negotiating against you as the seller. You need them to line up at the same time so they negotiate against each other.
Because once you sign that contract as a seller, you are obligated to sell them that house. They have an option period where they can back out, but you have signed that contract. You can't shop the contract.
Exactly. So as luck would have it, we had someone else that came along and said they wanted to submit an offer. Now get this, the market that we've been coming out of, the second offer, they told me they were going to offer us $510, which was $20,000 below our list. And I told the agent, I was like, well, thank you. I would appreciate that.
But imagine they had come first.
If they had come first, basically the way that negotiation probably would have
met between 510 and 530.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They would have
said $1 million listing.
They would have said 510.
It's always halfway between.
We would have said 525 or whatever.
Right. And they said, okay, 520, and then you would have said deal.
Yeah, maybe. And because it was 24 hours on market, we would have maybe had a little bit more leverage to say like, no, I think you should make a full price offer if you want it in 24 hours.
Right.
And maybe we could have gotten there. But I told the agent, I said like, to be honest, I don't know if that's even, you're going to even be considered because we have a strong offer. And I told him over our asking price. And so they jumped from what was going to be a $510,000 offer up to $545 immediately.
Wow. They're serious.
So that shows you like, we've come from such a buyer's market where buyers thought they had all this leverage, they can beat people down on the price, that their opening volley is not even, they want to ask for, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 off of your list price, even on the first weekend, just because, hey.
That's how it's been. Yeah.
But now if there's just even a little bit of competition, you can see their willingness to pay was much higher than that. And the way it works for a multiple offer situation is typically you tell anyone who's interested, you say, hey, we've got multiple offers. Please give me your highest and best offer by a deadline. And what that basically means is you create like an auction in a way, a blind auction where you say, give me your bid. You don't know what the other party is bidding. Mm-hmm. So, you might
How bad do you want it?
Exactly. And to be honest, it's a great situation to be in as a seller because you really extract what their maximum willingness to pay.
Yeah.
Whereas before, if they offered me $510, I didn't know they were actually willing to pay up to $550.
Yeah, and any discount they can get is
exactly. Yeah. And you never be able to get that. But in a blind auction, they pay literally, as much as they're willing to pay because they don't know what the other party is going to bid. And in this case, they bid, I think maybe like 10 grand more than the first offer. So I
feel a little bad. Those people have to go to 101 houses now.
Yeah, I know. No. They seem like nice folks
too.
I know. The real estate market can be just brutal on both sides. You feel like you're getting beat up as a seller, but I've been there as a buyer where you're like trying to find a house. And that market is not great either, especially when you've got 20 offers on a house, which is what we were seeing in 2021.
Right. Yeah.
Somewhere in the middle is better.
Yeah.
The rapid rise in interest rates just completely froze the real estate market. Having interest rates drop a bit has thawed it out. We don't need to go back to the crazy Wild West days of, 0% interest rate and, just a free for all, anybody making 20 offers on a house.
We just need stability.
We need stability, and it is healthy to sometimes have multiple offers on a property and price discovery, and you want to see, price appreciation in homes over time. You just don't want crazy whipsaws.
Totally.
So I would say my takeaway for this, for anybody listing in this environment, I would say, we actually had a few high-end comps that justify a $550 sales price on this property.
Which is ultimately where you landed, and great, because we still need that appraisal to come in.
Exactly.
And so, yeah.
But my advice would be,
go a little lower than that to generate some buzz.
Get some buzz. Don't list right at the top of that market and then have to drop your price, let the house get stale on the market. Price it pretty competitively, because now there's enough interest. You're likely to get more than one party interested, and that's when you can really unlock the value on the listing.
Totally. Cool. Awesome. No, I mean, I think this whole thing is cool. I'm stoked.
Mostly excited for our client.
Oh my gosh, so excited for him.
Yeah.
It gives me, it's been a little bit scary market in Austin, so I've got hope again.
Yeah. Hope just floats on up.
Hope is on the way.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep. Cool. Well, this was another fun one.
Yeah, this was exciting.
This episode, the full before and after transformation story on YouTube, is coming soon. So make sure that you are subscribed to our Austin Flipsters YouTube channel, because you're not going to want to miss this one.
Follow us on Instagram at Austin Flipsters too, if you want to see these things coming to life behind the scenes in real time.
Yep.
Anything else we need them to do?
What else do we want you to do?
If you want to work with us to flip your own projects, go check out homemade.co or link in the description. Apply to be a client, because we would love to find you a project just like this, and we will help you source that deal. We will help you finance it, renovate it,
the appropriate scope for it,
the right scope, and then we'll carry out that work. We'll fix your foundation. We'll list this thing, and I will negotiate.
I was going to say, he will oversee your bidding war.
I will be the puppet master to bidding war. No guarantees on the bidding war, but we would love to work with you guys at homemade.co. And shout out to Homemade for sponsoring this episode of the Austin Flipsters podcast.
They're such good people over at Homemade.
Yeah, they put these huge, chunky freaking things, man.
There's no missing it.
I'm next. They're gonna make Lauren get a tattoo on her forehead that says.
I think cups are next.
That would probably be a less drastic next step. Yeah, I think let's get cups next.
Cool. Well, come back again. Check us out. See if we have cups next time you see us. Peace.